Welcome to the Conway Wampus Cat Football 2025 preseason show. I'm one of your hosts, Levi Gilbert, alongside co-host Tim Roach, and joining us, the head Wampus Cat himself, Buck James, entering his third season here at Conway. And Coach, before we dive into 2025, just want to reflect a little bit on 2024, how your season went in your second year with the program. Finished 9-1 in the regular season, a play away from the state championship game. What are your thoughts overall on how last season went?
Well, it's bittersweet. You know, I'm really proud of the way our kids played. I'm proud that the effort that they put into it. You know, I think we can grow from that. I think we need to grow from that. I feel good about, you know, what our seniors, the legacy that they left. You know, those guys won 10 games a year for 3 years, and you know, that's a good hurdle in high school football. And you know, our goal is to win 10-plus games every year. And those guys did a great job of doing what we wanted them to do. You know, it comes down to making a play. And it's like I was talking to Levi and Tim earlier. I was telling both of you, you know, the higher you climb the tree, the more you expose your rear end. And we've got to climb that tree and quit worrying about our rear end and go play and get to the top of the tree and own that top of the tree.
Coach, one of the things, I know there's a lot of things you're trying to work on in terms of your time here at Conway and how you picked everything up. One of them was about the strength of the team, the physical strength of the team, and you've had a couple of years now to work on that. How's the weight room looking? I know last year was a historical team in terms of weightlifting. How's it looking?
Well, we're actually stronger, and you know, I think we have a chance to start on our offensive defense line. Every guy can bench over 300 and squat over 500. And I'm pretty sure that's probably the first time in the history of the school. But, you know, the old adage, you can't catch me, you can't press me, you know, comes into play there. And we've got to be quicker. We've got to be faster. We've got to be better at our craft. But Coach Jordan has done a great job with our strength and development. You know, we just got to get better at football. And our guys have done a tremendous job in the weight room. And we've made some really big gains. I think when I got here, we had 1 or 2 guys that were 400-pound squatters. We have 3 or 4 that were 600-pound squatters this year. So, you know, we have guys that are benching over 330 pounds, and we had 1 or 2 over 300 pounds when I got here. And so, the strength games are unbelievable, and the job that those guys have done is giving us a chance. Now, can we go out there and play the game like it's supposed to be played? And you know, we got to have a plan when they be able to move, and we can do the things to catch them and move them.
Now, we know the high school program is what gets the most attention, the eyeballs and all that, but you know, it's the junior high program that constantly feeds up, and we'll get a chance to talk with head coach Bill Lampe later here in the show. But first season last year, combining the blue and white teams, and they won a conference championship. How are you feeling about the junior high program?
Well, it's good. You know, I mean, it's good to win. You know, I think our numbers exceeded what anybody experienced. I really felt like that our numbers would go up when we combined the teams, and they did. I mean, we had, you know, about 220 kids playing junior high football, and you know, that's a good thing and a bad thing because we got to have enough people to coach them and enough facilities to house them, and you know, be able to do the things that we need to do to to accommodate 128th graders and you know, have 80 or 90 ninth graders. You got to be able to accommodate those guys. And so we got growing pains, but that's a good thing. I mean, everything that we talk about is things that we can do and things that we're doing. You know, you spend too much time spending on things you can't do. And, you know, I like the way our kids were resilient. You know, really the only games that we lost last year in junior high was the weeks we were out of school, you know, and we broke their routine. And, you know, kids, you know, from 13 to 21 need a routine, and probably go a little older than that. But our kids need a routine, and we lost the week that we were off, and both in close games, both down to a single play. And those are things we got to fix and change, and we got to continue to grow as a football program.
After the break, we'll look ahead to the 2025 season, starting with the offense after this break on Conway Court.
You don't wake up thinking about internet speed, electricity, reliability. Your mind isn't on advanced treatment facilities or customizable systems. you don't have to think about any of these things. Because we do. Conway Corp. Always on.
Fans, it's time for the 25th season of Conway Wampus Cat football.
But it's our first as Telly Award winners.
Every touchdown, every hit, every Friday night moment that makes history.
We've been here for a quarter of a century, and this year promises to be the best one yet.
Don't miss a second of Wampus Cat football, only on Conway Corp.
Proudly presented by Conway Regional Health System.
Welcome back to the 2025 Conway Wampus Cat football preseason show. I'm one of your hosts, Levi Gilbert. He's Tim Roach, and we got the head cat himself, Buck James, here with us. Coach, let's turn our attention to 2025 and start off talking about the offense. And got a big change on the offensive side, on the sidelines. You'll have a new offensive coordinator this year, and Ryan Howard. What are you expecting out of him, and how do you think that might change what people see on the field this year?
Well, I think Ryan's a really good young coach. He's very smart, ex-quarterback. He's a coach's son, very methodical in what he does, and he's very creative. And I think, what he does well. And I think that's what he's going to bring people. Remember back in Clint Conk days and stuff at UCA, I mean, that was the kind of offense that he ran, and they were known for throwing the football, and then, they got where they could run it as well as they could throw it as it moved along. And he was really out there during that era, and Coach Campbell was there, and, what he was able to do in the run game. And he sort of blends both of that in. And, for us to win championships, we got to be able to run the football. And we definitely got to be able to run the football in short yardage situations. And, I think he's done a good job of, ironing out what we need to be able to do that. And then it's from there, our kids have got to be able to execute it. But I think he has a great mind in what he's wanting to do. I think he uses the entire field. I think he sees the field well. And I think we're looking for, a little bit different look than we had last year, but in a lot of ways, sort of the same stuff.
Coach, a group that's close to your heart, I know the offensive line. Last year, we saw a really good push by your offensive line at times, and you got a couple of guys back there like Isaiah Bowman, maybe Kingston Jackson from last year, big guys up front. Talk to us about your offensive line and how they're working through.
Well, it starts with those two guys for sure. I mean, they're both, probably started 20 games in their career. They're big, strong kids. Kingston, pound for pound, has probably some of the biggest numbers we've ever had in my coaching career. And, he's a big guy. And, I talked about earlier, and he needs to get in better shape. He's got to get where he can play 4 quarters as hard as he possibly can. And then Isaiah Bowman, I mean, he's a dog. He's the kind of guy that you don't want your son to line up against on Friday night. Whoever's playing him and their mom and dad are sitting over there, they're going to be sick, because this guy's going to bring it every single play. It happens in practice every day. It happens in team camps. There's that guy, and he's that guy. And, hopefully he can stay healthy. He's a lot bigger and a lot stronger than he was this time last year. He's 280 pounds. He's 330-pound bencher. He's a 500-plus squatter. And he's some twisted steel in there somewhere. And, they're going to start it off. I think our offensive line has a chance to be better than it's been since I've been here. And I can't speak for years before that, but I think they've got a chance to be a really good group. The thing about our group last year is we had some injuries, and we lost some guys, and then we got some guys back, and then, everything we did to get them to the level where they could play, and they were 240 or 50 pounds. By the time we got them back, they were 210 pounds. And, I think in the semifinal game, we had 3 offensive linemen that were under 220 out there playing. And at this level, you can't do that. They had a 300-pound plus nose man, and, that wears on you. But I think this group has really done well. Coach Del Santos has done a heck of a job of coaching these guys. I think we have depth. I think we have 10 to 12 guys that could come in there and play on Friday night that would be as good as what we played since I've been here. And it starts there. Your offensive unit starts with the offensive line, and I think we have some good protectors there, and I think we have some guys that are going to do a really good job for us.
Wesley Tapp had a chance to start a big chunk of the season last year, due to injury, and went 3-1 in that stretch. How is he transitioning to taking over that job on a more full-time basis, and what do you expect out of your quarterback group this year?
Well, Wesley's a hard worker. He's a good kid, and he has a really unbelievable arm talent. The thing that I'm telling Wesley, I'm going to tell the whole city of Conway, I tell his parents, I tell Wesley, I tell our coaches, is he's got to be able to get 2 first downs a game on his own. He's got to be able to extend a play. He's got to be able to make a run. If you look like last year in the Pulaski Academy game, he had a 12-yard run late in the game that sealed the deal. And he's got to be able to do that for us. His arm talent is good enough. He has a good enough receiving core to make the big throws. You have to play the whole field with him at quarterback. He can throw it from sideline to sideline. He can throw it just about from end zone to end zone. But we've got to be able to protect him. He's a valuable commodity for our football team. Our offensive line's got to take some pride in it. And we've got to be able to run the football to help him out. And hopefully he's more of a willing runner. I don't think he has to be an able runner. I think he has to be a willing runner and take what he's given and then play for the next play. I don't want him out there running over linebackers and safeties. I want him out there getting first downs and extending plays that gives us a chance to have success.
Coach, you mentioned the running backs and being able to run the ball, and then a wide receiver crew that a lot of them were here last year. Both running backs and wide receivers. Can you talk a little bit about those guys and maybe who you expect to see?
Well, Trey Harris and Amari Davis, carried most of the carries for us last year at running back, and they're both back. Both of them are a lot stronger. Trey weighs 195 pounds now. This time last year he was 170. Amari's about 190. This time last year he's 165. So they're going to bring a lot more punch to the fight, and we've got to do some things with them that allows them to help us. They both great receivers out of the backfield. They have some supporting cast behind them that are showing their head and basically getting better too. And we've gotten a lot of help from our younger kids coming up that will allow us to be a lot better at running back. And then our receiving core is, like you said, they're all back. We lost Cordsmeyer and we lost Max Owens, and Blake did a great job for us. He made big plays for us during the year, and he was a guy that sort of showed up his senior year and did that. And we need some guys to keep doing that. But we have a very talented group of young men. Cambrian Blackman and Alex McCray are back, and both of them were big chunk guys last year. I really think Terry McJoy has done a really good job. We have some guys that can go out there and make the defense go, and we have 2 really big tight ends who can run, and Elijah Cullum and Dawson McFadden, that gives us a different look, and we got some height there, and they can run a little bit. And so, if I was a quarterback, I think we have the right crew of guys there. Now, we've got to be able to protect our quarterback. We've got to be able to make the throws. We can't be predictable. We've got to make the field 50 yards wide and 50 yards deep for those guys to be successful. But, I think we have the guys on offense to compete against the good teams. We just got to go play well. We got to play clean. And we've got to play with great discipline. And we got to play for each other. And we've got to understand, some of those guys got to work hard every day to be big, and then they got to work hard to be strong. And we've got to be as big and strong as we were when we walked off the field in spring football as we are when we walk off the field in the playoffs. And that's part of the commitment to your team and to yourself that we need to have to go to the next step and next level.
Coach, we got to call 2 junior high games last year. Know there's some talented sophomores that have come up, especially some offensive linemen as well. But you mentioned Blake Cordsmeyer stepped up big his senior year. There's always a junior or senior that maybe folks didn't see last year that pop in. Who are some maybe new faces on offense that folks might see that maybe they didn't see a year ago?
Well, I think we see it with M.J. Gibson at tailback. I think we see it with Jeremiah Carey at receiver. I think those are some names that we can throw out. And I think there's some more guys that will step up and do some things for our football team. Right now we work 3 groups. And we work 3 groups just like they're the first group or they're the second group or the third group. I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, really the only person who really gets one group reps all the time is Wesley. And he's more than deserves, you know, the opportunity to be the one guy. And, you know, we have some backups behind him, I think, are going to be some good football players. And, you know, John Hunter Scaife has come a million miles from where he was a sophomore. And, you know, I think Ryder Cook and those guys are going to be good players. I mean, we have guys that can be the next guy. Now, who's going to establish himself as that guy? And, you know, if I sit here and say their name on TV, is that going to make them better? No, hard work out there on that practice field and in this weight room is going to be the difference maker. And I want those guys to understand that there's a role they have, and it's Monday through Thursday, and then Friday go out there and celebrate the hard work you've done.
Coach, finally on offense and special teams, let's talk about special teams. Critical phase of the game always can play a role in terms of wins and losses throughout the year. Just generally speaking, how are your special teams looking?
Well, we have Will Upton back. Last year he did extra points and punting and did a great job. He's a lot stronger athlete, and you know, we expect big things of him. Keir Crosby is a guy that really a talented young man with a really strong leg, and I think he's going to factor in big time. I think he's got a chance to even be a college kicker maybe someday, and he has a lot of talent. Luke Myers is a young guy that last year could barely kick it over the goalpost, and he's hitting them for 30 yards out now. So he's worked his tail off. We've got a lot of guys that how well we cover, how well we block, how well we do some things will be how good those guys are. I think we're talented enough to be as good as we want to be at the kicker position. I would like for us to be a lot better in the punt game, but in the kickoff, extra point, field goal, I feel comfortable about that. They're working hard at the punting game, but that's a big part. It helps your defense when you can punt, and it's going to be really good if the head coach can figure out when he needs to punt. It'll make a big difference too. And so if we can punt, cover the punt, kick and cover the kick, and then make all our extra points and field goals that we try, that's nothing but a plus for our football program.
Had 2 really talented guys returning the ball a year ago. You got to replace those guys. Anybody stepping up there?
Well, we've worked on it, and like I said, it's by committee. All our running backs are doing it. So, everybody we've mentioned, we got probably a couple of defensive guys. Elijah Washington probably will go back there and do some things. But, it's hard to replace the 2 guys we had. I mean, Jacoby Wade, it might be one of the better kickoff and punt guys, maybe punt guys that, I've ever been around. And, Trez Hammond, I mean, he could turn the light off and be in bed asleep before the room got dark. And so, I mean, it's one of those situations where, we've got to replace some players, but that's what good programs do. I mean, good programs replace players with good players, and that's what we've got to turn into. We've got to have guys that are 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade that want to be the next guy. And that guy's here, just whether he's willing to work hard enough and do the things it takes to do it and wait his time or, put the time in, whichever works best for him, will give us a chance to have success.
Offense and special teams down. We'll talk about the defense after this break on Conway Corp.
Education is all about vision. It requires commitment, investment. So we pour ourselves into Conway students and teachers, schools, and scholarships. A brighter future? Now that's powerful. Conway Corp. Always on.
Fans, it's time for the 25th season of Conway Wampus Cat football.
But it's our first as Telly Award winners.
Every touchdown, every hit, every Friday night moment that makes history.
We've been here for a quarter of a century, and this year promises to be the best one yet.
Don't miss a second of Wampus Cat football, only on Conway Corp.
Proudly presented by Conway Regional Health System.
Welcome back to the 2025 Conway Wampus Cat football preseason show. He's Tim, I'm Levi, Coach James here with us. And going to turn our attention to the defense. And, Coach, just like we started in the last segment, have a changed offensive coordinator, also have a changed defensive coordinator. We brought in a coach from Marion, Coach Ellis. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Trenton Ellis played at Arkansas State. He was a linebacker, strong safety type guy, and from Daphne, Alabama. Comes from a great high school program. He was a great player. He's a guy that stayed in the game. The game loved him back, and he gets a chance to really do some great things. He has an unbelievable story. He has answers. He has passion. He is a guy that can make our defense like a cult type thing where guys want to be Conway Wampus Cat defensive football players. And he's got a lot of energy. He's young, he's inexperienced, he's going to step all over himself at times, but I think big things for him. I think this guy's going to be a good one. And the thing is he's got new coaches with him. I mean, there's only one coach back on defense, and we've got some things we got to fill in. But the bad thing about it is we have about 4 guys that played on defense last year back too. So we've got to step up. And we talked about it in the first segment where we were, our offensive guys have been there and done it. And next year I want to be able to say, hey, our defensive guys have been here and done that. And I've been at other schools where we lost 10 starters on one side of the ball and had them all back on the other side of the ball, and we won championships. And then we flipped it the next year and had 10 starters back and lost 10 starters on the other side of the ball, and we won a championship. If a dog's going to bite, he's going to bite. And, I'd rather them bite when they're a puppy, just as much as I want them to bite when they get older. And I want these guys to play with aggression, speed, discipline. We've had some good moments in summer. We've had some terrible moments in the summer. And that's what you're going to have when you have a lot of inexperience. But, I pride these guys in their effort, their workman attitude, and, unselfishness to be better. And I think Coach Ellis brings all that to the table. He knows what it's like. He knows what it's like on the other side. He knows what it's like on this side. And he's got to make sure that, he keeps learning, he keeps growing. And just like Coach Howard, these guys are 2 really good young coaches. And, 20 years from now, they're going to look back and say, wow, those guys were assistants at Conway. And that's what we want. I mean, I built my program, and my football legacy is off of young men who want to be football coaches, who care about kids, who loves kids, wants kids to work, holds them accountable, and get them to do the things that they normally wouldn't do on their own. And that's what good coaching does.
You mentioned not a lot has come back on defense. Most of it on the defensive line. It's kind of a similar parallel to offense. A lot of experience on the offensive line, a lot of experience on the defensive line. Is that the strength of your defense right now?
Well, it better be. I'm hoping it is. And then there's some guys there that there's some creatures. I mean, they really are. I mean, you got Juju Jones, and he's a 365, 75 bencher. He's a 640-pound squatter, and Caleb Kern is, a 330-pound bencher and a 560-pound squatter, and Joe Washington is 6'5", 260 pounds, and has college offers. And he's a guy that has gotten a lot better. Didn't play a down in sophomore year, and showed a lot of life last year, and shows a ton of promise. Got a UCA offer the other day, and they're big, strong kids. And then we have some underclassmen that are, growing and getting better, and got a chance to be really good football players on the D line. I like a couple of 2 or 3 of our sophomores are showing up, and they're going to be some really good football players too. Just like on the offense side of the ball, those young guys are showing up. And Trevon Logan is the only linebacker back that played any kind of significant time. But we've got some guys that are there. We just got to be able to play football, and these guys can do it. They were on special teams last year. They showed out on special teams. We just got to go out and play good football. We got to play assignment football, and we've got to play team football. And if we can do those things, and we keep people in front of us, and we can get them on the ground, give our offense a chance to have some opportunities, and our defense can be really good. We're going to be able to run enough. We're going to be, we're going to have enough size. we're probably a little undersized at linebacker, but everywhere else, I mean, we're adequate. What you want from a 7A football program. We have a lot of energy. They've had a really good summer. We went to the Harding 7-on-7, and those guys held most teams under 21 points the whole weekend, and they played really good. But the good and bad about that is that you don't get to play by 7-on-7 rules. You got to tackle, and you got to be somewhere. You touch them on the helmet in 7-on-7, they're down. You got to tackle them to the ground, and those are things we got to do. We got to be where our feet are. We got to trust our eyes, and we've got to play at a high level, and we've got to play it with great discipline and passion to want to tackle people. And I feel good about this group. I feel good about the coaches that we have in this area. I was able to even hire Derek Rose, who played for me at Bryant and won the first 2 state championships there. He's coaching our D-backs. And, we have a young guy that played at Harding University, Gage Price, who was an All-American at Harding as a defensive lineman. He was a team captain. We have him coming in there. We have Colin Jordan, who's coached at UCA for many years as a student and grad assistant. And, we have Will Frazier back at the defensive ends. And, he's the only returning starter we have. And so we've got to go out there and play some football. And we have the guys do it. I think we have some energy. We have some guys that are willing to learn. I don't think they're going to sit there and bank on what they know. They're going to bank on what they can do. And I think that's a good problem to have.
You mentioned, you talked about both linebackers and defensive backs. I want to land on both of those just real quick. So Logan, of that entire bunch, Logan is the only one that you got back from that whole behind the defensive line perspective. Can you kind of lump that whole prospect together and say, we think we've got some guys that we can look at, or is Logan leading that whole effort back there?
Well, we want Logan to lead. That's what we need. We need our seniors to lead. We need the guys with experience to lead for our football team on both sides of the football. A lot of times nowadays kids just sort of stay in line with what they are, and we need some guys to go against the grain and be leaders and step up and challenge their teammates to be good and hold them accountable for being good. It's no different than anything else. You got to have great leadership, but you got to have great leadership within your group too. And we have some guys. I mean, we have some guys that I think can be really good football players, but we're working 3 deep, and we're working 3 deep at all positions on the back end. And it'd be unfair for me to say this guy's going to play over this guy or this guy's going to do this, because it is an open competition. It's an open audition. I mean, every day they get fired as fast as they get hired on. And so we're trying to, Gavin Perry played a little bit last year. He comes to my mind. But other than that, I mean, I don't think we had anybody play very much. Elijah Washington played just a little bit. And, he's had a good summer. I think we have enough guys that have played in mop-up roles or been on special teams that can be really good football players for us. They just got to go out there and prove it. We want to talk the game, or we want to talk about what we can do, but, football, you have to show me. You have to show me play after play, down after down, series after series, and you have to show it for 10 weeks, and the thing about this thing started in spring football. These guys have been in football, and they come in 3 days a week in the summer. They're lifting 4 days a week. The thing is that we have not had every coach and every player at practice yet, because we're so much transition, so much newness to the team. And, we had to hit the ground coaching instead of building relationships. And so we're trying to build relationships and coach right now. And that's the most important thing. I mean, come on, honey, play hard don't always work. And we need guys to be able to take coaching, understand what coaching means. We ought to be able to put our hand around their neck and walk off the field and tell how much we love them. And, we can't do it without them, and they can't do it without us. We didn't pick each other. We chose to be with each other. And I want these guys to play hard for their coaches. I want their coaches to give everything they got to those guys. And, I want to be able to celebrate when we're successful, but I want us to go back to the drawing board when we're unsuccessful and try to find a way to do it better. And, in this game, you got to understand failure is part of success. I mean, in baseball, 300 gets you in the Hall of Fame. We can't play 300 football. We can't do it. We got to work to perfection. We got to play 70 or 80% football or 80 or 90% football. And that's the hardest thing in the world. I mean, you can sit in the stands and the center doesn't get the ball to the quarterback, and that's something you do every day. And the first thing somebody's going to do is snap the ball, block. Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to snap the ball and block, and we're trying to do those things, and we're trying to tackle, but it takes practice. And you know, and then sometimes you have to play guys that are bigger and stronger than you are. And when you factor all that in, you know, it's tough to be a football player. It's tough to be a young man to go out there and do the things that these guys are doing with such high expectations year in and year out. But that's why we're at Conway. That's why we expect to do those things. And it ought to be pride and joy and excitement about being able to play for your high school. This is, you know, the only high school in this town. Let's go out there and be a Wampus Cat. Let's play hard and let's root for the Bears on Saturday. You know, that's what we are. And that's what we've got to start learning to do is have a program that kids want to play in. They see guys having fun, and they want to do it from the time they're in the 4th, 5th, 6th grade and when they get to high school. And that's what I grew up in. That's what I saw when I was growing up. And these guys are the guys that set the table for it.
After the break, we're going to sit down with the head coach of the junior high program, Coach Bill Lampe, and talk about the feeder program that leads up to these Friday nights. We'll have that next after the break on Conway Corp.
We don't schedule the appointments, but we connect them. We don't read the x-rays, but we stream them. We don't handle the procedures, but we power them. Here's to running the things that make business run smoothly. Conway Corp, always on.
Fans, it's time for the 25th season of Conway Wampus Cat football.
But it's our first as Telly Award winners.
Every touchdown, every hit, every Friday night moment that makes history.
We've been here for a quarter of a century, and this year promises to be the best one yet.
Don't miss a second of Wampus Cat football, only on Conway Corp.
Proudly presented by Conway Regional Health System.
Welcome back to the 2025 Conway Wampus Cat football preseason show. He's Tim, I'm Levi. And joining us now, the head coach of the junior high program, Coach Bill Lampe. And Coach, it was a special season last year. Combined the blue and the white programs into one program, and turned out pretty well. You won a conference championship. Looking back at it now, what was that experience like having to combine it, and what do you think led to the success last year?
Well, it was a lot of fun, and those guys were really good. That's a big part of it right there. But just combining, it was great. We had guys playing the positions they were supposed to play, not playing out of position. We had coaches at each position, which really helped. So,
Coach James, when he got here, one of the first things that he wanted to change out or try to get going again was a really healthy weight program, building strength of the players, and he wanted to see that kind of propagate throughout the entire program. So junior high is the next step up is high school. So from a strength perspective and a weight program, what are you seeing in there at the junior high level?
well, according to Coach James, the guys that came up were a lot stronger than what we've seen in the past. He was able to secure resources that improved our weight room, not only at the junior high, but at the 7th grade level too. And I tell our guys all the time, I'm like, you got to fall in love with the weight room. If you want to win, I don't care what sport it is. And that's kind of what we've taken from an athletic program is all of our sports. We want to get stronger and that sort of thing. So just kind of a mindset.
Mentioned earlier, we did 2 of your games, and I guess it was the last home game and then the game on Halloween for the conference championship. Man, there was talent all over the field. Most of those guys have moved up here now, so you gotta replace a lot of that. Got to defend a conference championship. How are you feeling about the squad this year?
Feel really good. A lot of good players. Our conference has expanded a little bit, so you'll see a few more teams, newer teams. Parkview was added, Southwest, Pine Bluff, and even Central.
Wow.
So the competition's gotten tougher, but I think that's what we need to see at the junior high level to help out the high school. I'm hoping we'll compete for that. I know the guys We talk as a group, and that's our goal, is to hopefully go back-to-back and win title. We know Bryant's going to be the team to beat, one of the teams to beat, so we'll see.
All right. Looks like we're primed for another exciting season at the junior high level. When we come back, we'll sit down one last time with Coach Buck James and preview the conference and non-conference schedule and get you ready for kickoff later in August. After this break here on Conway Court.
You don't wake up thinking about internet speed, electricity, reliability. Your mind isn't on advanced treatment facilities or customizable systems. You don't have to think about any of these things because we do. Conway Corp. Always on.
Fans, it's time for the 25th season of Conway Wampus Cat football.
But it's our first as Telly Award winners.
Every touchdown, every hit, every Friday night moment that makes history.
We've been here for a quarter of a century, and this year promises to be the best one yet.
Don't miss a second of Wampus Cat football only on Conway Court.
Proudly presented by Conway Regional Health System.
Welcome back to the 2025 Conway Wampus Cat football preseason show. I'm Levi, he's Tim. Coach Buck James here as we close out the show talking about the season ahead, and we'll break down the schedule here a little bit. Non-conference up first. All the same opponents that you had a year ago. It's just flipped. You get to start at home with Jonesboro, and then you got two long road trips on different sides of the state.
Well, I think we get to see everything we need. I mean, you know, we get to play Bentonville for free. I mean, that's what, but it's not a playoff game. It's not a conference game. And it's great competition. We get to play a good Jonesboro team, and they're trying to build that back and get it where it is, and they're an up-and-coming program. And, you know, they've got great athletes. We see them during the summer. And then Marion, you know, probably have as many college football players on their team as anybody in the state. And, you know, so we travel. We're going, you know, we got 2-3 hour bus rides, you know, to go see that. So we're going to get that out of the way. We'll know what that's about. And that's part of being on a football team, is being able to handle the drive to a long away game. And, you know, most of our playoff games are going to be at Northwest Arkansas, so that readies us for that. You know, I like the schedule. I think it's a good schedule. I think it's a competitive schedule. You know, I see us in the future, you know, probably doing a little bit different things. But, you know, right now I think this is where we're at. And I think it's good for our football team, and it's what we need to see.
Coach, for the first time in a little while, we get to see the same guys in the 7A Central Conference play. Last year we got to see Little Rock Christian and Pulaski Academy for the first time. Your thoughts on the changes that have happened this year in terms of the 7A? I know that North Little Rock has a new coach, and they're probably going to be tough again in the very near future.
Well, Brad's probably the only guy you know that comes in there and got 30 guys and has 120 before Thanksgiving. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he's a great communicator. He rallies guys around him. He's well financed, and he does a good job. And he's going to win wherever he is, and he's going to turn. You know, it ain't going to be a big long rebuild. It's going to be, you know, all of a sudden, that's North Little Rock, and that's what it should be. Right. And that's what it should be at every school. And, you know, they had to hit rock bottom before they figured it out. You know, I mean, he had them at the top of the game. He was a game, you know, a player away or two, and then all of a sudden they think they can go better, and then they find out this is what we need to do. And, yeah, I applaud them for seeing that this is a guy to change your program, and he is a guy to change your program. That's what football is now. You got to have stuff. You got to have it. It's got to be fun for the kids, and, you know, they're going to be better. And then Pulaski Academy and Little Rock Christian, you know, I mean, there's not going to be a year they're not going to be very good. I mean, that's just all there is. And, you know, injuries are their biggest battle. And if they stay healthy, they can play with anybody in the state. And they've proven that over the years. And, you know, Cabot, you know, has got a really good group of young kids coming up. Got a very talented quarterback. Got some big linemen. they're always going to be in the mix. They're extremely well coached, and Central has a ton of college football players. They seem to be trying to turn it around a little bit, and the thing about it is you can be a really good football team in this league and finish 5th or 6th, and that's just the truth of it. It's a very competitive league, and it's a lot of it's as wide as it is tall. I mean, there's everything you need to see. I mean, from offenses to defenses to cultures of each program. What I do see is the teams that are well financed are doing very well, and then there's people spending money to have good football, and it's here. Up north they've been in an arms race, trying to catch up with us down here in the central part of the state, and we've really done a good job in the central part of the state of doing some things. But they were building buildings and putting money here and this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden they've evolved again. And the 7A league in Arkansas is a very, very tough competitive league. And you look at Rogers coming around now, there's 5 teams up there every year that could play for a state championship. There's 5 teams down here that can play for a state championship. And that's what it's about. And if you want to play big-time football, you go and play in big-time arenas and big-time programs. And I was talking to somebody the other day and said this guy was moving here and this. And I said, I don't matter. Everybody's got good players. It's just how well can you get your guys to buy into what you're trying to do. We have plenty of players. Everybody we play is going to have plenty of players. How well do we put it together? How well do we coach it? How well do our kids buy into what we're trying to do? And are they willing to fight long enough to hang on to be able to do the things it takes to be successful? And that's every program. I mean, it's the SEC of Arkansas football. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's 8-4A and then there's 7A football. And, it's all changes. The demographics, the zones and stuff are where it's big cities and it's got big populations, and football is important to those communities for their businesses, for their land value or whatever, the promotion of your city. But if you don't have good football, then your school suffers to a degree. And you got to have great bands, you got to have great cheer and dance squads, you got to have great baseball, and you got to have great soccer and volleyball, and you got to have great softball. I mean, you cannot say, I'm going to hang my hat on this and I'm going to be a good school. I mean, we've got to have great academics. We've got to have safety for our kids. We've got to have things that people want to move to Conway and their kids be a part of this program. And, I think it's a diamond in the rough. I came here for a reason. I think this could be a special place, but we've got to do things differently. We can't do what we've been doing the last 20 years and expect to evolve. I told Tim earlier, I mean, dinosaurs died because they couldn't evolve. And we've got to evolve. We've got to grow as a program. We got to grow as a school. We got to grow as a community. We got to grow as a culture of hard-nosed, tough, blue-collar type people. And go to work and do our jobs, and expect it to be done day after day, week after week, year after year. And if we do those things, Conway's going to be fine.
Throw you a bit of a curveball just to close out. Every year it seems like there's a few little rule changes that happen. Anything that folks should be on the lookout for, fans in the crowd watching, or even maybe some announcers that might need to know some changes on the field?
Well, nothing that I know that's significant,
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, most of the rules are for somebody else besides whoever played the game of football or are involved in football. They sit back and watch these things. But, when I was a kid, you had to ride your bicycle to practice, and they didn't check the temperature, and, we drank out of a water hose. So, the rules are to make it easier and softer and all that, but it's good stuff. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying the rules are sometimes lettering might be too big on your uniform, and that seems like what it's dealing with, because everybody's got a billboard. When you walk out on the field, it says Conway, or it says Pulaski Academy, or North Little Rock, or Bryan, or whatever the case may be. And I didn't intentionally leave Bryan out of that a while ago. But anyway,
I wasn't thinking that.
I think that, people want to sell their program, and a lot of times they do it with uniforms, and, and they should. I mean, our kids are to be in the best of the best, and everybody else's program should be too. And that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to dial that back a little bit. But you're still blocking and tackling. They're going to let you do that. You know, you have to do it facing them. You know, you can't be behind them or coming up from the blind side. But you have to be able to block and tackle and run the football and catch and throw it. And that's what we're going to concentrate on the most. And if we do that well, we got a chance to have a pretty good football team.
Sounds like a lot of opportunity coming up this year for Conway Wampus Cat football. First game, first chance to see them in the games that count, August 29th, here at home against Jonesboro. Let's pack this place. Get it loud, nice and loud, first home game. And then 2 long road trips, different corners of the state. We'll have it all live for you on Conway Corp. Coach, a pleasure, as always,
Thank you.
chatting with you.